Andrew Maxwell, the Canadian Innovation Centre, and I'm here with Geoffrey Moore, author of Crossing the Chasm, amongst other books. Geoffrey, welcome to Waterloo.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks.
I'd like to ask you a few questions about some of your historical work, your Crossing the Chasm. It's been a major influence on technology entrepreneurs particularly, and then maybe a little bit more about your more recent book, the Darwin book.
Yes, dealing with Darwin, yes.
So first of all, in Crossing the Chasm, you build on the work of Edwards about adoption curves, but it provides some very valuable lessons for entrepreneurs who are trying to take their ideas from the laboratory into the marketplace. Yeah. And I wonder if maybe you could share a couple of those challenges that entrepreneurs should be thinking about as they move across that daunting chasm.
Yeah. So I think the thing that helps technical entrepreneurs is to think about the market as a system, and it's a system that goes through a series of mutations in response to a new technology. And the first mutation is the early adopters actually come toward the entrepreneur. They're very welcoming, they want to participate, they want to engage. And the technical entrepreneur has a kind of a delightful time, frankly. And the key thing in that phase of the market is to try to get at least one customer we call it a flagship account, somebody who's a well-known entity in the industry, so that when you do your technology magic with them, people pay attention and they hear about you and you kind of get on the map. Once you get your technology on the map, the next thing that happens in the market is the market actually slows down. It's what we call the chasm. And it's because the pragmatic people in the market are saying, this thing isn't quite ready for prime time. And the visionaries are saying, well, we've kind of looked at it, we're doing it or we're not, but we're doing something else now. And so this is the challenge for the technology entrepreneur. You've got to pick a very, very focused target market. And it's got to be a market that is in pain, so that they actually are anxious to adopt a new solution, because normally pragmatists would wait. And then you have to take whatever your technology is and do whatever it takes to apply it to that problem and come to the customer with a complete solution to their problem. That's a lot to ask for a technology entrepreneur, so they usually have to partner up with other companies to do that. That's what kind of gets your virus into the mainstream. Once it gets in with the first group of pragmatists, then it can spread. It might spread from niche to niche, or it may become a general purpose technology and do what we call go inside the tornado. And that's when everybody starts adopting your technology. So think about those state changes. Early market, work with a few customers very intimately. Chasm, oh my God, what do I do? We call it the bowling alley or the head pin market, the beachhead market, very specialized, very niche. Tornado, general purpose. And every market seems to go through this process. And then after the general purpose tornado, it levels out and it becomes an ordinary market. So technology people say, well, I'm not a marketeer, but technology people understand systems. And if you understand that these are the states of the system, then you can apply your energies at the right time in the right state. The big mistake entrepreneurs often make is they think they're in some market state that they're not in, and they do the wrong things.
So you talk about the issue of, or the benefits of identifying the flagship customers early. They're because they're who the pragmatists will listen to. But often those flagship customers are quite difficult to attract or take a long time to make a decision. So you're sitting there as an entrepreneur with your great idea, and there's 4 or 5 people interested, and 3 of them will make decisions tomorrow, and the flagship customer is going to maybe take a little bit more convincing. Okay. So how do you make that decision?
So it's interesting. So interesting about that flagship customer. It may not be somebody pragmatists listen to, but it's somebody that the world, it's like Richard Brandt at Virgin Airlines. You might not take Richard's advice, but everybody listens to him. And you're looking for that visionary, but to your point, it's a visionary pragmatist who is always anxious to do something before anybody else does. So they want to be the first to do anything. So that's really not a pragmatist, they're a visionary. And the pragmatists look at that person, they notice what they do, the press talks about them, so they hear about the idea, but they also think, but that's not me. That's Richard Branson, that's not me. And so then it's that niche market. When you cross the chasm, that's when the pragmatists get together and they say, well, maybe it is me because I have this very special need, nobody's ever been able to meet it, it's hurting more and more. These guys seem to have solved the problem, let's go with them. But that's very different than Richard Branson, who's going to end world hunger, right? This is like, no, 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 no. I have this problem. I can't get my documents to the drug approval agency fast enough. So very different.
And so looking for those visionaries is a lot about looking at their previous behaviors, right?
It is.
Because they tend to be continuing visionaries, and they'll be the early adopters again and again.
And you'll see them. They're often quoted in the press. They're either very visible. They'll often find you. So visionaries often have a network of technology specialists that they are continually pinging, saying, well, what have you seen that's interesting? What have you seen that's interesting? So if you're a technology entrepreneur with a really disruptive technology, giving papers at technical conferences actually can work, or being on the internet can work, because some other technologist will hear about it, tell a visionary, and the visionary will say, I want to learn more about these people, and you get that first audience. You don't get too many of those, so don't think you're going to get 10 of them, but if you get, it's not surprising you get one or two, particularly if you have a technology which really is disruptive.
So let me build on that.
Yeah.
You know, when you wrote the book, social networking and Twitter and were not part of business life, right? And they are now.
Yes.
Entrepreneurs never have any money.
Yes.
So there seems to be a link between social networking, Twitter, and finding those people. So based on your more recent experiences in applying the lessons that you've learned from that, have you got some ideas on how you can reach out to those people? Because, you know, delivering a paper at a conference could be interesting, but maybe there's some other ways of doing it.
Sure, it could. But I think what you would do, though, is you would say, rather than try to go directly to the visionary yourself, go to other people who are kind of like birds of a feather with you, through Twitter, through LinkedIn, through social networking, whatever. Make a YouTube video of whatever it is you're trying to talk about, right? And get it into the system, and let the visionary find you, because visionaries tend to find you. If you go looking for them, it's particularly if you're not well connected in their circle, it's hard to find. It's hard to get into them. But they're always looking for that new disruption thing. The venture capital community is very similar. So in fact, the venture capital community is quite good at introducing you to visionaries. And so whether it's in Boston or in Silicon Valley, I don't know the venture capital community here in Canada so well, but one of the functions of a venture capitalist is to vet your technology. They do a lot of due diligence. And then if it's really disruptive, to say, okay, well, here's how we can help you.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the chasm, and you mentioned today in the conference, you were talking about different stages of innovations as the industries kind of mature.
Yes.
So can you, I know it's a very big challenge, but
it's okay.
in a nutshell, can you kind of highlight the different types of the reasons people should be looking at different types of innovation, and how you might classify them, so to kind of provide an initial guidebook for people trying to look at being more innovative?
And to be fair, as you said, this is an entire book called Dealing with Darwin, but the simple idea is this. When we've always talked about innovation in tech, we've always talked about product leadership positions, the technology that can do things that nobody's ever been able to do before. Or then better, faster, cheaper. So I have a better, faster, cheaper computer, a better, faster, cheaper network, whatever. There comes a time in the history of any technology where good enough is good enough. And trying to make, an automobile engine go 180 miles an hour, it's like, well, I'm sorry, I'm only allowed to go 70 miles an hour. So at that point, product leadership strategies start to lose their ability to return good returns, and customer intimacy and operational excellence become the more common thing. So mature industries have a lot more investment in innovations in customer intimacy and innovations in operational excellence. So the innovations in customer intimacy, you and I were talking briefly before we came on air, the experiential innovation and all these things around the psychology and the sociology of the experience. So yes, I'm having a network experience, or yes, maybe I'm buying a book, or maybe I'm shopping or whatever, but the fact that the way in which that experience is constructed, that's what I'm really responding to. So that's a form of innovation, experiential innovation.